Hi there, welcome back. Today's video I thought I would do on sort of running injuries and things that I have, top three things that I've got at home, I suppose, when I'm injured or got some niggles, things that I use to help me through a period of, if I've got a bit of an injury. At the moment, I've got a few little niggles, one in my knee, and I've got a bit of an Achilles heel as well. And sometimes it's not easy to get to a physio, or obviously physios can cost quite a bit of money, so there's a few things that I have bought over the years to help me when I've got sort of injuries or niggles, just to help me sort of put them settle them down, hopefully. So some of these things sort of I purchased were through the pandemic. It's a few years ago now, but obviously through the pandemic it was sometimes quite difficult to see physios, especially in the sort of the big lockdowns that we had. So I'd invested in a few bits of equipment and a few things to use at home when I couldn't get to see my physio. So I do still see a physio maybe once a month, not so much just for massages, but more when I've got any sort of like niggles or anything like that. So where I might have acupuncture or a bit of massaging or something like that. But generally it's more of a physiotherapist than sort of a massage, sort of like general sort of like MOT treatment. So I thought it'd be useful today just to run through top three things that I've got in my sort of injury equipment shed that I'll bring out and use to help me through any problems that I might be having. And I think definitely when you're doing a lot of run mileage, I always find that can, more so than swimming and cycling, I think a lot of my injuries probably come from more the running side of training. I'm only running maybe 40 mile a week, but on top of that, obviously with the cycling as well, I'm looking at in and around 18 to 20 hours per week. So yeah, your body goes through quite a lot of stress. So I wanted to go through three things that I've purchased. So here we go. So the first of the three things that I've got at home that I use quite regularly, to be fair, is this old trusty massage gun. Now these have become pretty popular at the moment. I think this one, for example, that I have is not a top brand, not very expensive. I bought this back in 2020 through the pandemic from Amazon, probably made out of the same factory in China as some of the big brands, and cost me about 60 to 80 quid. It might have even been a bit less than that at the time. This is brilliant. I've used this now for about 4 or 5 years. Battery is pretty good in it as well. It's a little bit big, a little bit cumbersome at times, but for having it in and around the house, it's great. Comes with a range of different and sort of massaging bits at the end here. This is obviously quite a big sort of cylindrical ball. There's a couple that are more like a fork-like, some that are a bit flatter, and there's a whole range of different things. And like I said, this was a pretty cheap and reasonable one that I got off Amazon for about 60 to 80 quid, and there are a whole load of brands out there. One of the big benefits is around, I think, helping with blood circulation and things like that. Like I said, for me at the time, I wasn't being able to get to having sort of thorough massages every other week, so I used that just to help with a few different sort of issues that I was having. So I mean, if you have a quick look online, you'll see a load of articles in and around how to use them, what to use them for, how regularly to use them. I probably don't use it as much as I should. There's a lot of benefit in using them for sort of warming up the muscles, or sort of some people are suggesting on a daily basis as well. I tend to use it more after big sessions or after races when I'm trying to really loosen up the muscles. It sort of helps in terms of relieving sort of pain, a lot of the blockage, helps with the blood flow, helps loosen up the muscles, especially when you start to get a bit older like myself, sort of the wrong side of 40. I always find it really useful in terms of just helping keep that sort of flexibility and that sort of fluidity in the muscles as well, stop everything from compacting up. I tend to have personally tend to have a little bit of issues with my left knee, especially on the inner side. A lot of that's to do with, I think, a lot of tension and sort of tightness in my quads. So the muscle gun is really good for me in terms of just clearing out sort of that scar tissue and stuff within my quads. And I've used it quite a lot on my my calves as well over the years. For me personally, tend to use it a lot on the lower body areas, so my quads, my thighs, calves, down to sort of like the Achilles area. I think it is worth reading up quite a bit on how to use them. Make sure you're using it properly. You can read a lot of articles about how you can aggravate injuries and overuse sort of muscle guns as well. So it's always worth just having a bit of a read up. For me as well, I think what I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years doing a lot of that treatment with the gun at home is that you start to understand your body a little bit better. You start to understand where your tightnesses and areas that you need to be working on. Like I said, I tend to use it for when I've got injuries and things like that, but more and more now I'm starting to use it for just general sort of once a week, twice a week, just running through the body, making sure the legs are free, they haven't got any sort of tightness in the muscles, and I find it really, really beneficial. It's one of the best things that I've bought in terms of helping me sort of keep that body in good shape. And like I said, when I'm injured, especially in and around the knees and things like that, and I need to loosen off those quads and the calf muscles, I found it really, really good. Also, Louise, my wife as well, sometimes I'll use the massage gun on her back, for example, just to help with back pain and things like that. So first recommendation is, get yourself a massage gun. Like I said, that one was pretty reasonable price, but now they do a lot smaller versions, ones that are great for traveling. I can take that to races with me, throw it in the suitcase. The battery's really good. So that's a real good recommendation, first of all, in terms of just looking after yourself with purchasing a massage gun. So number 2 is the Novasonic. So I've had this now for a couple of years. Came from a recommendation from somebody that I know. And this is more of a scientific sort of tool that's used probably more in the medical profession and things like that, but it is used for physiotherapists and things like that. I bought this one off eBay. I can't remember how much I paid for it now. I don't think it was that expensive, maybe 40 quid off eBay. I'm not sure how much they are going for brand new, so I'll probably just put a link in the description below. So basically, I suppose similar to the muscle gun in certain ways, this will help with blood circulation, scar tissues and things like that, but it's done with sound waves. So this here patch is the area that you'll rub onto the body, and this will release sort of sound waves which will help with blood circulation, rehabilitation. It's used for a whole variety of different things, from arthritis, and I recommend you can use it on things like your jaw and all over your body. So really good piece of kit. Now I use this a lot if I've got like I mentioned earlier on with my knee. I'll use it if I've got any flare-ups, just to help, just to relieve the pain and help with that. And currently at the moment I'm using it on my Achilles. The end of this does come off, so there are other bits that you can put onto that. So for example, you can unscrew this and then screw in a smaller piece, which is really good for in and around the ankle. I can't remember if it's British made or not, but I'll put a link in below. But it's a really good piece of kit that I've now had for, like I said, a few years. I use it a lot, especially more so when I'm injured. I think with the gun and things like that, that's always good to use regular, in terms of just helping to keep those muscles in a good condition, help to get that scar tissue, help to, even before you're doing big sessions, just to get those muscles free and relaxed. Whereas this I tend to use more actually when I've got an injury or there's something that's been aggravating me. So, but really recommend, if you can, to pick one of these up. I've been really pleased with it, and it's really been done wonders for my sort of injuries and helping me to manage a lot of that stuff at home. And the third one is these. I've got a couple of pots of these. These are sort of herbal massaging sort of treatments. So I've got a couple of these that I've been using. This one here is what's called a Nature's Kiss. Not quite as hot as this one here, which is called Hot Stuff. But there's a whole variety of these that you could probably find off the internet. Again, I use these quite a bit when I've got a lot of injury or something, or a bit of scar tissue or things like that. So when I've been suffering with my knee and my Achilles, I'm using this quite a lot, and I do tend to use this sometimes even before races or before I'm training as well. So generally just put this on just to help, especially at the moment with my Achilles, just to get some more warmth and stuff through that. Yeah, so quite cheap, anywhere between £5 to £10. This has also come from a recommendation from somebody that I know. Quite potent, to be fair. Nice sort of consistency, so just have to be a bit careful when you're putting this stuff on your hands, that you make sure you wash your hands thoroughly afterwards before going to things like the toilet, which isn't a pleasant experience if you don't wash your hands. But yeah, both of those I use depending on how severe my sort of injury might be, but at the moment I'm using quite a bit of the hot stuff. I'll try and put a link in the description below in and around that, but that's something that I have make sure I've got at least one pot of this in throughout the year, just to make sure that I can use that, put that on the areas that I'm struggling with, just to help in terms of recovery, but also just to keep the muscle a bit warm and help with those sorts of things. So really recommend just trying to perhaps purchase some form of sort of muscle cream or rub or something like that to have in and around. Again, easy to apply. There's lots of stuff on the internet in terms of how to use, where to use, how often to use, so I won't go into too much of that detail on this video, but yeah, really good to make sure you've got a couple of those or one of those in your cupboard, just in terms of making sure you've got things there that you can get hold of pretty quickly. So I hope that was useful. There are 3 bits that I've got over the years which really help in terms of when I've got an injury or when I've got any sort of real serious sort of niggles, that I use to just help keep the body in shape, outside of the strength and conditioning and the sort of the physio that I'll see maybe once a month, just to make sure that I'm keeping myself in good shape. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. I'll put the descriptions to 3 of those sort of things in below with a couple of links. If you've got any comments, please let me know. If you haven't, please subscribe and like the video, and hopefully I'll put some more content up there which hopefully is useful to a few of you. And if there's anything else you want to know more about, just comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.